Hello friends and welcome to my patch 7.32e highlights, analysis highlights video. We're really getting down the alphabet here. So it's not the huge patch many of us were hoping for. That's going to come in about a month or two. God, I hope so. But in the meantime, we have what's mostly a balance patch. Now I want to start with something that you may have missed. If you click this, that's where I usually go to read the patch. Not in there. So bug fixes. Clicking on enemies via the top bar during a game will show their last seen location and inventory state. This changes a ton about how to collect information in this game, and you may have totally brushed over this like I did, so I'll probably actually make a separate video on this, because for people who missed this, I think this is really significant to know. Now you need to get in the habit of clicking that top bar, going through the enemy heroes, and you can check their inventory that way. Instead of having to go through the minimap, click the different, like, move your camera, click the hero, all of that, right? Sometimes you miss the heroes. Now you can just click the top bar. It makes it a lot easier. We can complain like, oh, my skill cap, and it's true, but like Dota's so complex. When things get easier, like there's other things to work on. So I'm not here to like talk about that stuff, but I want you to know it is now in the game and you should start using it. So just to show you, if you come up here and click, you can now see their inventory like so. And let's say I had seen him here last, it would snap over here. I'm in demo mode, so it doesn't really work because I actually just take control of PL and move him around. But if you're in a game, go give this a shot. You need to see them first, so if you do this at the start of the game, you won't see anything. But as the game progresses, you want to get in the habit of just clicking through these heroes, and you can keep your eyes down on the inventory, right? Just see what everyone's building. Oh, this guy, he's hoarding all the wards, better watch him. Hey, he just finished a Shadow Blade or Blink, right? This is the new way to gather information, so get in the habit. And I've heard that you can also detect the real illusions. That seems like a bug. I can't do it here in demo mode, and I keep forgetting to do it in my games, but that might be a thing. So, I mean, while it's there, you can give it a go if you want. I think that should be fixed, though, because that's not really how that's supposed to work, I imagine. While we're here, we might as well talk about Muerta real quick. She is the new hero, Intelligence, and I think she's going to be a carry. There's still room to explore this, and I am trying her as a support as well. But just to run through her abilities real quick, and then I can explain why I think she's going to be a carry. Q, Deadshot. The first part, easy. You just click a target, it's going to do damage to them. But then you get to choose a direction, and the bullet's going to ricochet. You can choose enemy heroes, trees, or enemy units like creeps. And the important thing here is that the ricochet causes a fear, and it pushes them in whatever direction that the bullet comes from, or away from the direction the bullet comes from. So you can use this for things like in the laning stage, push them into your tower, that's pretty cool, or push them into you and your teammate. You can cancel channels with this. So a lot of utility on this one, a lot of high skill ceiling, because I'm getting in the habit of like clicking a tree and like aiming at people. It's pretty funny. One of the things you might push them to is your second ability, the calling. You create this circle, and you create 4 ghosts that go around. Every time they hit someone, they silence and do a bit of damage, and in the middle, they are slowed and attack slowed in this area, and as they try to leave, you're like, get back in here, you're not allowed to leave, right? So, cool combo there. These are very expensive spells. Even though you're an intelligence hero, it's going to drain your mana. You got to be careful with these. Your passive is Gunslinger. If there's 2 enemy heroes, when this procs, you will shoot both heroes, and if there's only 1 hero, you'll shoot that hero twice. This also works on things like Phoenix Egg, Tombstone, Observers, and Sentries, so you can actually just like instant kill a sentry if this procs. Kind of cool, but it's not exactly something you can control. Your ultimate makes you immune to physical damage, so that's pretty nifty. And then it turns your right clicks into magic damage, along with giving you some bonus damage, 50, 75, 100. You can also target ethereal units, so if they use Ghost Scepter or perhaps you E-Blade them, you can then ult. All of this combined is why I think she's going to be a carry player and kind of an anti-armor hero, because, hey, like Terrorblade, right? Tons of armor, how do we get past that? Magic damage, and you just kill him with your ultimate, and you E-Blade him. He can't attack, but you can attack him, stuff like that. I can kind of see that working. She also scales well with like on-hit effects because of Gunslinger, creating a second shot. So that's kind of why I think she's going to be a carry, maybe a mid, maybe an offlaner, but like I see less value for the offlane, right? The people who build right-click items are typically the carries. Now, you do have to be careful. When you ult, you do absolutely nothing to BKB targets. Now, I know you guys will ask. Support Muerta, I have tried. I think the build is going to be max QW, skip passive till later, maybe even skip your ult, but I'm not fully sure on that part yet. Talents, you're going to go Deadshot damage, Deadshot cast range, summon the 2 additional Revenants, and then 25, I don't know, I haven't really gotten there. I think Gunslinger chance if you are scaling up, and magic resistance, if you need that. The build, I don't know, Aether Lens and maybe the new drums, which, spoiler alert, we'll get into. I'm still figuring it out. I'll make a video when I see it. I have seen some really fail. Like, I tried 5, it was awful, but 4 kind of feels like it might be doable. It might be kind of fun, but I think her best role is going to be a carry, building some like on-hit effects. Now the actual patch and meta. So long story short, I think the concepts are going to be the same, like strong laning stage, try to group early, take towers, take the first Roche, map control, second Roche, break high ground, that kind of thing. I think all that's going to be the same. But the heroes doing it are going to shift around because they nerfed the strongest, buffed the weakest. And I'm going to talk through them, but the last patch, I would say, was defined by a lot of ranged cores, especially certain carries like Lina and Drow, but then Nature's Prophet, Death Prophet, right in the offlane, Enigma. There's a lot of ranged cores. Now to match, you had strong supports to help those ranged cores, a lot of melees, and then because, like, say you have a ranged offlaner, they're not usually the best initiators, so then you had someone like Tiny, someone like Earthshaker, initiating 4 supports. I think we're going to see a shift a little bit. I think you're going to see more melee carries, for example, and because melee carries are not as typically as dominant against melee offlaners as like a hero like Lina was, now you're going to have more melee offlaners, and melee offlaners tend to be initiators. So now the 4 support, the 5 support, they might shift up. You might see more ranged supports who are more damage focused, not necessarily initiators, but maybe follow up with some like crowd control, things like that. That's kind of my prediction. We'll see if that actually happens. General changes, the only thing you really need to know is that range creeps are now level 5, so Enigma, Chen, Doom, and Enchantress can't affect that creep at level 1 anymore. They need to get some more levels before they can do anything. I don't think Enigma can actually ever touch it anymore, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, so you probably don't even run into those heroes in your pubs very often, but if you watch Pro Dota and you're like, why is he taking melee creeps? This is why. It's like all they can do now at the early levels. For items, a lot of these are just plus or minus a little bit, so nothing too crazy, but a couple big ones. Boots of Bearing no longer has charges, so I think this makes it a lot better, because I think the recharge time on the charges before was quite long, but this item actually is only a 30-second cooldown and doesn't cost mana. So now if you get to this item, you kind of just like pop it every 30 seconds, and you're just free to do that. So I think this makes this item a lot better. I've already been trying it myself, and I've been seeing other people do it. It feels pretty good. Mangoes are 0.6 to 0.4 HP regen. Honestly, if you need mana, you don't really have an alternative to the mango, so you're still going to be buying it. The people who are just buying it because like, I'll eventually need mana, and I do need mana or health regen now, I'll buy like 3 mangoes, right? I think that'll tone down a little bit, but we're going to have to see as the patch goes. 4 staff got more expensive to use, 50 more mana. That's pretty tough on anyone who's not an intelligence hero, and even intelligence heroes, it's kind of tough. So this one I kind of find funny because I think a lot of the reason 4 staff was good is because you had things like range carries you're trying to protect, help them kite, or you're against range carries, you're trying to close the gap, help your team get to them, 4 staff them. You were against heroes like Ricky, Clockwork, Nature's Prophet, heroes you needed the 4 staff against. Many of those got nerfed. So I don't know if this was strictly needed, but 4 staff is just a generally good item. So here it is. I think you'll still need to buy this item when you need a 4 staff, but you'll just have to be more careful about your spell usage and your item usage because it's going to be more expensive to do so now. Gleipnir and Guardian Greaves, very popular items from the last patch. I think they're still good, but just nerfed a bit. Meteor Hammer's another big one. Channel time from 2.5 to 2, and then impact time down from 3 to 2.5. You're seeing a lot of people play with this for any hero that has a stun from 2 to 2.5 seconds or more, stun into the Meteor Hammer, right? Now, I don't know how much this will catch on. I think it's going to be best on offlaners who win the lane but don't actually take the tower quickly, such as Sand King. So Sand King can stun into the Meteor Hammer combo. He can win the matchup depending on like what hero he's against, and then he can use Meteor Hammer to take the tower. So I think that's where it'll actually be legit. But in the meantime, everyone and their mother is trying this, and it's pretty funny. So give it a go if you're playing. Sacred Relic got cheaper, so Nullifier and Radiance are better, more affordable. We'll probably start seeing these a bit more. Solar Crest got a buff. I don't know if it'll actually be good yet. We're going to have to see which carries rise to the top because this item is more attached to certain carries like PA, who you want to provide armor for or negative armor for or armor against. And that's when Medallion's good and when Solar Crest can be good. Hero changes. 1.5 base attack time on Abaddon now. It's pretty crazy. I don't know how much this changes for support Abaddon. Obviously, it makes your laning stage a bit better, but then you kind of sit in the back lines anyways. Core Abaddon gets in there though, so I'm gonna be interested to see if we see more core Abaddons with this improved base attack time. Alchemists, be careful. People are gonna be trying Alchemist, especially with this like Sacred Relic into Radiance change, and this stun now does nearly half a second more stun in the first level. So good Alchemists you might see do something like Acid Spray plus Unstable Concoction at level 2, and that is a very aggressive play. Be careful, do not get killed by this. Now, at max levels, it's kind of the same, but it's really that early aggression you got to be careful for. For a lot of these, Axe got buffed, Bat Rider nerfed, who else? Broodmother was great. I think in your pubs, it'll still be the same. You can just play her. She's worse, but like she's Broodmother, she'll be fine. I think you'll still see her in the pro scene as well, but maybe not first phase, pick ban like every single time. Death Prophet nerfed a bit, especially this level 15 talent for the 30 Spirit, Siphon, Damage, and Heal. This is kind of what kept you alive. Get to 15, you've got Grieve, stuff like that, and you're just so hard to kill. It's been pushed down to level 20. There's more answers by the time you're 20, like a Scotty might be in the game, reducing your healing. So this will hurt Death Prophet, but prior to level 15, she's mostly the same hero, and I think she's still going to do what she does, right? She wins certain matchups pretty hard, and she uses her ult to really push the tempo of the game. So I think you'll still see her, but maybe just a bit less. Drow, nerfed, right? Her ult only works half on ranged ally heroes, but frankly, sometimes she doesn't even have those in her game, and you still pick Drow if it's the right Drow game. So I think you'll still see her, even though she's been nerfed, but maybe, technically worse. Grimstroke, God, I've been hoping for him to come back in. I think it'll depend. With melee heroes potentially becoming better, Grimstroke shines there because Inkswell's really good and Soulbind's really good against melee heroes, and Soulbind was better when people with single target spells are good as well. So we're gonna have to see who else in the meta rises up to see if that makes Grimstroke any good. Jakiro is looking like one of the strongest supports to me right now. He actually got buffed from the last patch where I thought he was already good, but he wasn't being played at the major. So the stun time is not actually different, but you throw the ice path out and it exists longer. So like 4.5 seconds now at max level. And if they run into it at that time, then they get stunned for the same amount of time as before. But this is good zone control, an extra second at max level that they just can't walk into that area without getting stunned. And Macropyre also now does damage instantly, so you're getting a bit more damage, which is cool, but it's more about like you can cancel blinks now with this by throwing out this really long range Macropyre, just touch the enemy Magnus, and now he can't blink RP your team. Some great utility there. Juggernaut got buffed. Where I'm actually not going to talk about it that much, but when I'm mentioning some of these heroes, it's because like they fall into the like, this is a melee hero that looks good. This is a melee offlaner that looks good. This is an anti-melee hero that's been nerfed. That's kind of what I was talking about the like my expectations earlier. For all these, some like Lich buffs, kind of cool. Lina nerfed. I think this will help. I think she's still viable, but it has to be like a good Lina game versus like every game's a good Lina game, right? You're playing Dota, of course Lina's good. So I hope this is enough, and if not, I hope she gets hit with a little bit more because it's a little tiring seeing her all the time. Lion, bring his cooldown a little bit. I think this helps because he didn't really fit in this fast-paced tempo because of Finger of Death being so awkward compared to others. But some changes to him, like technically a bit more armor now. Not technically, it is half an armor higher, slightly less attack speed, but like that's fine. And then a lower cooldown ult, we might see him a bit more. Some of these other heroes, Mirana didn't really get touched. I thought she was good, and she like, nothing really changed about her. So you'll probably see, in fact, this is a buff to her Shard, but you're still not going to buy Shard, so like, whatever. She essentially didn't get changed. Nature's Prophet, slight nerf. In terms of stats and all of that, but the main thing here is the 20 talent. The Sprout no longer piercing spell immunity. It's really easy for core natures to get to 20, and then this was just, it was just a little too strong, so they're taking that away. Necro buff. Necro usually pretty good against tanky melee heroes, so maybe that's a a change up. Maybe he'll be good in certain matchups. I've been seeing more ODs. They seem stronger now. Who else? PA got a buff. Quamp slightly buffed. Razor, okay, this is a nice nerf. The Shard now has a cooldown, so this is kind of why he was absurd. Everyone could be trying to kill him, throw out their spells, and he reflects all of them and does like 1,000 damage to several units, and then he heals to full with his Bloodstone. But now there's a 1 second interval, so he can drop everything, and he's only going to proc once, and that really hurts him and makes him a lot more balanced, in my opinion. Riki Sleep Dart, 1,000 to 600 cast range. This is going to make it more risky to use, where you're more likely to run into gems and sentries. However, the good side of this is that actually, if you're closer to your target, it's easier to sleep them without them having time to react. The cooldown is going up, and I do think this hurts. I think it's going to make Riki less popular, but Sleeping Dart's still, like, a disable from Invis is still very strong. So I think there will still be games for Riki, but cast range becomes very important from neutrals and maybe the Aether Lens as well. Rubik, not really being touched in my opinion, I think is still going to be a very strong support. Sand King buffed all around. I think he's also looking good. Some small changes here. What else? Treant, they just took off the heal regen. What the heck? Other people are getting like plus or minus like 0.5 stuff, and they just took away 40% heal regen from him. I'm very sad about that. I think if you're winning your lanes in a very good matchup, you won't notice this too much, but in a lot of like even or bad matchups, the extra heal was very important for taking good trades. Now, Treant was very strong, so I get it, nerf him, but this seems kind of like a lot. I think it's going to drop him down a significant amount. I haven't gotten to play him yet, actually, so I could be overreacting, you know, a little biased towards my boy Treant Protector, but I really do feel like this is a big nerf to him. So, sad about that. Tusk was very popular, getting nerfed. Undying, also very popular, getting nerfed, especially his mana pool. Or the mana pool is the same, but the cost of Soul Rip is going up to 120 at all levels, and he is someone who's very constrained mana pool-wise because you have to spam Decay, then you're going to use Tombstone, ult, Soul Rips a couple times, right? So having a higher cost is very painful for him. Let's see, some Warlock buffs, some buffs on all these heroes. I don't know if they'll fully rise into the meta yet. I know a lot of you are going to ask, so here's my rough impressions, but keep in mind that we're 2 days into the patch, so a lot of this could change, but these are kind of the heroes that I think are looking fairly good. You know, next tier, bad tier, all that. There's definitely going to be some movement between here as the patch goes, and I will be putting out like a proper top 5 list in, I don't know, a little bit once the patch is settled and I like feel strongly about it. For now, this is just very rough impressions on the position 5s, and then here are the position 4s. Again, things are going to move around, but just like rough impressions from the patch and from the games I've played so far. So that's kind of it for now. I will, of course, make videos as I figure out more good things or bad things in this patch. Please leave a comment. Let me know if you think I forgot something important. I would love to test it out. And if you want to see that live, drop by one of the Twitch streams, because sometimes you guys bait me into playing heroes I don't know and try wacky stuff. And it's usually fun if you want to join. That's all. Thank you. See you in another video.